Welcome to sunny Winter Haven, Florida. I'm Lane Dawg Bowers, and I want you to know that you are greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved. I am real excited about what I'm going to talk to you today about, because I was having this thought yesterday. It took me back to a time when, and it seems like just yesterday, where, and it wasn't in the last, just recently, but a while ago, I can remember living on 28 bucks a week for food. Now it was pretty weird because I was living out of my BMW and I wasn't homeless by any means, but I basically, everything I had, I was mobile, and I was a barefoot water skier, so I basically went anywhere in the world I could barefoot water ski. But here's the question I want to ask you today. How much are you worth? I mean, I want you to think about that for a second. Just imagine if you walked into a company and the only thing you really knew about the company is that they were, I love these birds around here. They go nuts around here. I don't know if you can hear them, but it's awesome. The ospreys are screaming. I don't even know what that thing is screaming over there. Anyway, imagine walking into a company and the only thing you knew about it is that they were a super affluent company, that all their employees were amazingly well paid. What does that mean? You don't know. But then you sit down and have an interview and they tell you, okay, we've looked over your resume, and you know, what do you think you're worth? What would you like to be paid? And then how would you answer that? And it's really interesting, because the fact of the matter is, and we're talking really about, this is really foundational stuff for if you want to live the life of making money while you're at home. Because what's interesting, and that you're going to find out if you join Big Idea Mastermind and our community of people who make money staying at home, is that your self-image, your concept of how much you are worth determines how much you will get paid. It's an amazing thing to think about, and most people don't believe that. But you're getting paid exactly what you think you're worth, and not a penny more. Some of you may find that hard to believe, but I want to tell you a story that's really interesting, and I had two pretty large breakthroughs along the same line. So back to, I'm basically living in my car. I'm in South Florida. And I remember specifically, I had $28 a week, not a day, a week for food. And I remember the main staple of my diet was cans of tuna, because it was good protein, super cheap, and I remember being exasperated at the cost of cereal, because it seemed like such a luxury. I can't remember if cereal was, it seemed like it was $3 or $4 a box of what I wanted. I don't remember exactly. But I mean, it kind of blew me away, and so that's what I was thinking about. And this guy comes up to me where I was staying. It was at a bunkhouse, actually, at a ski school in South Florida. And this guy comes up to me who owned the company, and he said, "Hey, are you interested in going on a clinic and teaching, getting paid?" Well, the idea of getting paid to teach what I loved doing, barefoot water skiing, was super exciting. So yeah, heck yeah, I would love to do it. And the guy says, "Well, I don't know too much about these people. All I can tell you is that they apparently have a lot of money, and what would you," he asked me the question I started asking you, what would you like to get paid? And I was like, I don't know, because and I knew that this guy, when he traveled, charged $500 a day to teach. And this is a long time ago, but this was, so I was like, well, I mean, and I had a bad, because I said, well, I told the guy, I said, well, I know you're not going, so I'm going instead. So immediately, he hasn't said anything to me about how much I can make. He hasn't limited it. He just asked me that question, how much are you worth, basically. And I talked myself from what I knew was probably $500 a day he could get to, I basically said, well, I mean, I shouldn't head over there without charging him at least $100 a day, right? And he goes, well, I'll see what I can do. And not too long after that, he says, yep, you're all set up. we're going to get you out of there. So anyway, it turns out that I am now flown into the British Virgin Islands, and the people I'm teaching are billionaires. It took me a while to grasp the concept, because it was like, if you've ever seen the movie Coming to America, it was such a mind-blowing experience that as I was led through this enormous property, and I kept seeing these beautiful homes, and like, no, that's where, you know, the guy who was in charge of the property says, no, that's my home, that's where I stay, you won't be staying there. And he took me on a cart, you know, a really ridiculously awesome golf cart throughout this property. Amazing, you know, and there's gardeners everywhere, people running over, all over delivering food and doing all this different stuff, and an amazingly manicured facility. And I get to this other beautiful house. I go, wow, who stays here? He goes, that's where you'll be staying. I go, wow, who's staying here with me? He says, nobody, this is where you stay. And I was like, wow, you gotta be kidding me. So anyway, it turns out these people are billionaires. I ended up teaching these guys for, I believe it was about 7 years, okay? But at this time realized I don't know anything. I'm just, my head's getting wrapped around this concept. And you gotta realize my mentality. I had 28 bucks a week for food, and now I am eating the best food in the world at my beck and call, breakfast, anything that I could imagine. There was no limit to any, whatever I wanted, it was there. And if I wanted the same thing tomorrow, there was a person sitting there. It was weird. Rose petals outside when I woke up. Ridiculous, opulent environment. And to make a long story shorter, what happened was I end up doing a great job for these people. And I don't want to mention their names because they're actually pretty well known. And so the lady, the mother, gives me kind of a kiss in the cheek. They're French. And she hands me this envelope with it says thank you on it. And I'm like, oh. She says, that's for you, thank you very much. And so I take the envelope and I shove it in my pocket. I think I had like cargo pants on like I got now. I get on a plane. I'm flying out of the British Virgin Islands back to San Juan. And on the plane I go, oh yeah, I should at least read the card. Nice of her to write me a thank you note. And I open the card and I almost have a heart attack because it's a stack of $100 bills, I would say that thick. Was that half-inch? Like a half-inch thick. And I flipped through it real quickly. It looks like it was stamped so perfectly clean. It looked like someone just stamped it, because there was not a wrinkled $100 bill in there. They were perfectly edged as if it was made out of one chunk of solid steel. I remember thumbing through it because I couldn't believe that this is all $100 bills. And then my mind started going nuts. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, is this why I'm supposed to get paid? Because I was there, I think, like 10 days, and I started figuring out, you know, how much I was told I was going to get paid, and I was like, it didn't add up. This isn't right. And then I thought, oh man, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm going to go back and wait and see, you know, what happens. So I get back, and this guy who set up the deal for me to go, I don't say anything to him, he basically hands me a check, and I'm getting paid. And I realized that was my tip. I was like a stack of $100 bills, a half-inch thick, was my tip for 10 days. And my mind just started racing. I was just like, I was giddy. I was like, that was crazy money for me back then. And then I was just trying to get a grasp on this whole concept, and then they booked me again. They were literally booking me. Like, I was getting paid by the day, but I would be there for over a year, about, I think it was somewhere close to like 60 days of going and doing this. And then I find out something that blows my mind. I find out when I'm talking to the guy who books the trips for me, the guy who hired me, his assistant, and they said, hey, these guys want you again, they're setting you up, it's the usual deal, you know, $500 a day. I'm like, what? $500 a day? What are you talking about? It's $100 a day. Oh no, oh, sorry about that, never mind. Turns out these guys are charging them $500 a day, paying me $100 a day, and I mean, I was bent. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I felt betrayed. I was angry. And so I did something that was unusual. When I got out there, I did another great knock-up job for him. And then I told him the story, and I told him, I said, listen, this guy lied to me. He kind of betrayed me. And I'm not going to be working for that guy anymore. I'm setting up a whole new agreement. Here's what he was paying me. Here's what obviously know what he was charging you. And they were surprised, actually, too. So then they say to me, the question I'm asking you, okay, so from now on, we'll pay you direct because we don't want to work with that guy. We like you. We want to work with you. And so they asked me that question. Not what are you worth, but in essence they were. And they said, what would you like to get paid? Now, really, that was straight in the eye business. This is from the dad now, and he was bullet-eyed. He did not mess around. This was going to be a 30-second conversation max, I could tell. He did not have a lot of tolerance, but he understood. And I quickly thought I was getting paid $100, but these guys are charging $500. I should at least charge half. And something in me said, no. I got paid a stack of $100 bills as a tip, and these guys thought that is what I was worth on top of the $500 that they thought I was getting paid. So it was one of the most ballsy moments of my life at that time, and I told them $500 a day, and I didn't flinch. I had nothing to lose. I did have a lot, but I was kind of a ballsy guy. So I said $500 a day, done, that quick, done. And the tip still came rolling in. I mean, just think about it. I was living on $28 a day, and I went to $500 in a day only because of what came out of my mouth and in my head and in my ears. And part of what we're telling you here, and what I want to motivate you, is to get you, even if you've never been hypnotized in your life, you say, and I haven't either. But you see these guys, they take these like ridiculously strong guys, and they'll hypnotize them, and they'll get a really strong guy, and then they tell him after he's hypnotized, there's a pencil on the table, and this guy's like a bodybuilder, pick up the pencil. And they tell him the pencil is like 12,000 pounds. It is impossible for you to pick that pencil up. And then they ask, go ahead and pick up the pencil. And this guy, under hypnosis, is unable, not unable, he cannot pick up the pencil even though he's sweating and giving 100% of his effort. You can see his arms shaking, and he is literally putting the same amount of effort as if he's lifting up the rear end of a car, and he cannot pick up the pencil. What's the takeaway in that? Is that this only works, hypnosis, if the person under hypnosis believes what the hypnotist tells them is true about them. This guy under hypnosis, in normal life, he would have laughed. You say, you cannot pick up, of course I can, because he 100% believes he can pick up the pencil. Under hypnosis, where he's told he cannot pick up that pencil, he is unable to pick up the pencil, not because he is unable to pick up the pencil, but because he believes he is unable to pick up the pencil, because he's heard it from someone who he believes. Think about that. What do you believe? What have you heard? What's in your mind? What's coming out of your mouth? If you're someone who says, listen, in this economy, this is just the way we're going to have to survive. I've got another guy who's actually a friend of mine who says, I've seen what money does to people, and I just, that's what he says about people that he believes who make a lot of money. In his mind, what is rich, or someone who makes a lot of money, he kind of, in his mind, believes that people that have a lot of money get torn apart by their love of money. And of course, I'm not talking about the love of money at all. It's like I've said from the get-go, I want to take all of this wisdom and bring it back to foundational wisdom, what I believe is the greatest wisdom of all. But if you actually believe that you are greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved every single day. I've got my 8-year-old son absolutely believing, without a doubt, that when I show him, and I'm giving him little tips and helping him a little bit on what I do for a living, he believes without a shadow of a doubt that before he gets into high school, he's going to be making $5,000 a month. that he will be absolutely independent. He's going to concentrate on whatever he feels the Lord wants him to do with his life without having worries about money. I mean, he is convinced of that because I've told him that. Imagine if you were raised and that's what you believed your whole entire life. Let me tell you another real world story that happened just this year, and it's another breakthrough. And a client of mine told me, you have discovered, what did he call it? I can't think of the name of it. Pricing. I can't remember the name of it, but here's the story. Here's how it went. Because this guy who was telling me this was fascinated by the story I'm about to tell you. This guy is an amazingly wealthy businessman who was asking me, you know, if I'm available for private lessons and teach him barefoot water skiing. And I told him right now I'm not available for doing that because, and the reason is because, and I don't want to go into too much right now, but my wife and I adopted another child, a 5-year-old boy from China, and we brought him home this last August 2012. And I woke up on my birthday. I basically realized I am not going to travel for 4 months, even though I love what I do. I love helping people learn to barefoot water ski. I travel all over the world. I stay with amazing people, but I realized in a split moment that I was not this summer going to be leaving my 2 children and my wife and going to go and make money and bring it back home. Now, so anyway, that was the reason. So that's why I decided that I'm not going to be leaving home. I'm going to concentrate on my business, the tips and things I'm giving you. And so here's what happened. So I wake up on my birthday in January, and I have this epiphany that I will not be leaving home. But I do not know how to tell my clients of 21 years that I am not going to be available, and I am panicked over trying to explain to them my personal situation of how I will not be leaving my wife and my kids, because whatever I'm going to be the husband, I'm going to be the dad, I'm going to be boring super dad here at home, and I'm not going to be traveling, even though those are great things, even though I love it and it's amazing and I hang out with great people and I do amazing things. It's time to spend time with my family and my kids, and that became my top priority. Boom, overnight. It was a belief. It was something I believed, kind of like hypnosis. If someone hypnotized, you will not travel this summer. You will stay home and you will make more money than you could have ever imagined. And then I woke up and boom, it was that easy. The only question was, now what do I tell my customers? So here's what I decided to do. And even though my business has been ongoing for 15 years and making money without me with the power of videos and blogging like I'm telling you, the question was my personal time. Would I travel and trade out one-on-one time for money? And I decided I will no longer trade out my personal time for dollars, regardless of the amount of dollars. I'm not trading out personal time for dollars. I will work on systems so that I get paid like a rock star. You work on something, you work hard. And do you get paid right away? No. Do you get paid the next day? No. Do you get paid the next day? No. But you work on a system doing something that pays you over and over and over again, and I've seen the power of that for 15 years. I digress. Back to the story. So I wake up in January, I decide I'm not going to do so. I'm trying to figure out, how do I tell tens of thousands of people that I'm not going to be teaching them in March and April, May, June, July, August? How am I going to tell them that? So I decided that it was too difficult to explain, too personal, so I tripled my prices. Boop. Literally next day, all my prices tripled. Here's the shocker. It did not stop people from coming and signing up. In fact, I was shocked. I was convinced that maybe they didn't see the prices. No, they saw the prices. Well, you know, here's the dates we want available. And then I realized, holy cow, overnight I tripled my prices, and it's not stopping people from wanting to come and book for me. In fact, they're wanting to pay their deposit immediately right now so they can spend time with me. Think about that. I'm not trying to tell you that so that you're impressed by me. I'm trying to get you to realize, what do you think you're worth? Now, you could go to the world's wisdom and start using a bunch of self-help to help you realize that you are worth way, way more than you think you are. I'm not going to put a dollar amount on it, but way more than you think you are. Okay, I told you 2 stories where overnight my value went through the roof. And there actually is no limit. You just have to believe. And the way you believe is by surrounding yourself with people who have the same core values. And what I'm trying to do here is build a community of people who not only believe that, but they believe, first place, that every blessing they have in their life is from God. They believe that every blessing is from God. Every night when I put my kids to bed, I remind myself, my wife, and my kids one of the verses that God gives to his beloved even in their sleep. Not necessarily cash, but there's been, the most amazing thing for me is to wake up in the morning and here's money deposited in my account overnight while I was sleeping. I did nothing. I didn't talk to anybody. Money's in there. I do not want to give you the impression that this happens in a click of a button. It doesn't. It's a lot more work than people think. But the amazing part is, if you're willing to take baby steps, you can name your price of what you're worth. And I know that's a hard concept to grasp on, but you can't immediately just charge. In my case, I did, but that's because I had a firm conviction. And in both cases, but in one case, not only did I know, I actually undershot. I should have doubled it again, because it didn't even faze people, and they still want. Of course, some people it did, but there were so many people that I literally had to stop booking private time with people because I couldn't stop people from signing up. So I literally blocked the time out to spend being the dad, being the husband that I knew I needed to be. Strongly convicted that's what I needed to do. So that's what I want you to think about. I mean, and bring it back to, what the Bible says about you. Good success is not just about money. Good success happens for those of us who believe, who are Christ followers, when we are in God's Word, seeking first Jesus first, seeking His wisdom, and then His words are in front of us all the time. That doesn't mean we spend hours and hours doing stuff, but let's say you got a verse. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. How hard is it to think of that like 3, 4, 5 times a day? Think of it, one word at a time, concentrating on emphasizing one word. What does that mean to you? And, if you truly believe what the greatest wisdom in the world says, is that you will have good success when you meditate on my word. That's God's word in the Bible. There's many people who tell you that if you listen, read this book, reprogram your brain, that's actually partially true. It is. When you're around people who believe, they're worth a lot more. But what's even more powerful is when the source of that truth comes from the ultimate truth. That's why it's so powerful. That's why people like Napoleon Hill, one of the things he has for non-believers or anyone who reads is he wants you to start saying that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. 10 times a day, 100 times a day if you have to. God supplies all my needs according to his riches. All my needs. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Imagine if you actually believed that. Then you really would start taking the steps towards the goals that you believe could accomplish, because the Lord is on your side, because you're greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved. My goal is for you that I've opened up your mind and start hearing, seeing the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, the positive. Cut off the news. Cut off the negative naysayers and start marching towards a clearly defined dream. Not of a dollar amount as much as what that can get you in your life. Staying home with your family, providing the good things for them. But it's even more powerful when your day consists of prioritizing wisdom. You get encouraged, you're pumped. It doesn't take very long of reading the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive before your brain starts to get magnetized with hope, and you start to think, maybe I could do that. Maybe that Christ in me is the hope of glory. Maybe if I do what the Bible says and simply I'm in the Word day and night, and I'm thinking about it day and night, and I'm thinking about what that means to me as far as bringing Jesus out of the Word and a personal relationship with Jesus, could that really bring good success? I'm telling you that it absolutely can. So I want you again, I hope you're starting to get the revelation you are greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved. I am expecting a miracle for you. God bless you today.